He punched the Deathworld Girl without warning. Surgeons rushed in to fix his hand. The punch cracked across contact hall, hard enough to silence the floor. Goran Tal jerked backward as Jessa Pike's raised forearm stayed exactly where it was. Ulan Por was the safety assessor standing closest when it happened. At 09:14, he watched a Dreth cadet punch a 19-year-old Human Deathworld Girl without warning. Before that minute ended, the clinical team was calling for surgeons to repair Goran's striking hand. Jessa had not swung back. No counter, no chase, no second blow. Then she did something Ulan did not expect. She looked past Goran. A lighter cadet stood one step behind her. "Are you hurt?" Jessa asked. The cadet shook his head. Only then did she glance at her own arm. Ulan's pressure membrane tightened beneath his jaw. The person his system had marked as needing protection was still standing. The cadet it had not restricted was being moved toward the clinical transfer lock. "Lane shut," Ulan called. "Nobody moves through C." The floor locks clicked. Jessa stepped back and held both hands open. "Please tell them I didn't hit him." On the wall behind her, a thumb-sized gray ceramic token swung from her training bag. It looked like nothing. Keep one detail in mind. Jessa never asked for a fight. The harder question was why so many treated that as proof she could not handle one. 3 hours earlier, Ulan had been kneeling beside the same contact lane, pressing a loose grip strip back into place with his thumb. The morning board had loaded its mixed species pairings. One name carried a yellow restriction bar. Jessa Pike, human. Ulan opened her intake file. The contact section was thin. No shell, no plated limbs, no striking claws, no dense outer ridge like the Dreth carried. Not blank thin. Endurance medicine had several entries. Balance work had several more. There were notes on high-load recovery and fall control. But the combat contact field, the one Ulan needed to set a safe pairing ceiling, held only a transfer code and a short line telling him that additional human data remained filed under another discipline. He tapped the request icon. The system returned a routine delay notice. Ulan disliked routine notices attached to bodies he was expected to keep safe. He could delay Jessa's class. He could also use Asterline's standard rule for incomplete species records, classify by visible risk until better data arrived. He chose the cautious option. Restricted contact. The yellow bar brightened beside her name. A heavy tap sounded behind him. Goran Tal had arrived early. The Dreth cadet was broader through the shoulders than most of the class, with raised defensive ridges along his forearms. He stopped at Ulan's board and tapped his knuckles together, once, twice, then leaned closer to the list. "Human?" Goran asked. "Transfer cadet," Ulan said. Goran's eyes moved to the yellow bar. Restricted. Until her contact data is complete. That answer should have ended the matter. Instead, Goran smiled. Ulan felt the membrane under his jaw pull tight. "Restricted for whose safety?" Goran asked. "For the pairing," Ulan said. Goran looked amused by the wording. "That wasn't my question." Ulan closed Jessa's file, then asked a better one. Goran tapped his knuckles again and walked toward the warm-up line. Ulan watched him go, annoyed more than worried. Goran liked an audience. He also liked simple rankings. Heavy beat light, armored beat soft. Obvious weapons beat empty hands. In most drills, those shortcuts were good enough to make him look smart. The problem was that Goran did not treat them as shortcuts. He treated them as laws. When Jessa entered Contact Hall C, she did not look like someone arriving for a fight. She carried one training bag over her shoulder and a sealed water bottle in her left hand. Her academy uniform had been altered for human movement, but there was no padding beneath it except the standard contact layer. She paused at the lane map, read the yellow mark beside her name, and walked straight to Ulan. "Morning," she said. "Where do you want me?" Ulan pointed to the restricted warm-up zone. "Lane C until your file clears." Jessa looked at the board. "Low contact. For now." "Okay." That was all. No protest, no claim about human toughness, no request for special handling. She crossed to the wall, hung her bag, and clipped the strap to the hook. The gray ceramic token was attached beside the buckle. Goran noticed it before Ulan did. "What is that?" he asked. Jessa glanced back. "A control token." "For beginners?" "No." "What did you do to earn it?" Jessa checked that the clip was secure, stopped where I was supposed to. Goran waited for more. None came. He gave a short laugh and looked toward two nearby cadets. "Humans hand out awards for stopping." Jessa twisted the cap off her water bottle. "Sometimes." Ulan looked from the token to her intake file. "Breakful control qualifier," the file said. The label meant nothing to him. He marked it for later review. That was the first small thing he almost ignored. Class began with lane checks. Ulan moved the cadets through range limits and contact ceilings. Jessa followed each direction exactly and never added force the drill did not ask for. Goran watched her. By the second rotation, he had decided what it meant. Fear. Not caution, not discipline, fear. To Goran, Jessa's body already looked weak. That was his blind spot, simple enough to name. If a body did not show armor, he treated it as fragile. If the Academy added limits around that body, he treated the limit as proof. Ulan had helped create that proof. During a pause between drills, Goran stepped across the edge of Jessa's lane. If you belonged in contact class, they wouldn't need rules around you. Conversation nearby died fast. Jessa looked at the yellow bar on the wall, then at Ulan. "Which drill am I cleared for?" Goran's ridges lifted slightly. Ulan almost smiled, not because it was funny, because she had answered the insult by asking him to do his job. "Balance control," Ulan said. "Legal pressure only, no strikes." Jessa nodded. "Good." Goran shifted closer. "You didn't answer me." "I heard you." "And?" Jessa picked up her bottle. "I still need to know where to stand." A few cadets looked away to hide their reactions. Goran did not. His knuckles tapped together again. Ulan stepped between the lane marks before the exchange could grow. "Astroline's limits are not a ranking," he said. "They exist because mixed-species contact goes wrong when people guess." Goran pointed toward Jessa. "You guessed about her." That landed harder than Ulan liked. He kept his face flat. "I used the current file." "Which says low contact." "Which says incomplete." Goran turned to the others as if Ulan had just helped his case. "Same result." "No," Ulan said, "not the same result." But he understood why Goran thought it was. Astroline's system had a strong record by Academy standards. Across full contact training, medical stops happened in 17% of bouts. Supervisors used that rate as proof they were catching bad mismatches before they became worse. Ulan had trusted the same logic that morning. Now he noticed something the number did not answer. Jessa had not asked why she was restricted. She had asked what she could safely do under the restriction. That difference should not have mattered yet. It did. The class moved to paired balance work. This drill was simple. One cadet stood inside a floor ring while a partner applied steady pressure through a padded shoulder bar. The goal was not to throw anyone. It was to test base, weight shift, and control. Ulan began assigning pairs by size and contact band. Jessa stepped toward the partner he indicated, a narrow-framed cadet from a light-gravity world. Then she stopped. Can he take my full resistance? She asked. The other cadet blinked. You're what? Ulan checked the band. You're both under the same ceiling. That's not what I asked. Her tone stayed mild. Ulan looked at her more carefully. What are you asking? Jessa pointed to the padded bar. If he leans in and I hold position, is there a load cap for him? The question was backward. Cadets usually asked how much force they were allowed to apply. Jessa was asking how much force the other person could safely apply to her. Ulan opened the drill settings. The machine had a stop threshold for sudden impact. It had a warning for joint angle. It had no special rule for a cadet who expected the other person to hurt themselves by pushing too hard. There is now, Ulan said. He lowered the pressure ceiling. Jessa nodded once and looked at the light gravity cadet beside the bar. Before stepping into the ring, she checked the space behind him. Ulan noticed. Most cadets watched the person in front of them. Jessa checked where that person might go. Goran laughed from the next lane. There, he said, more rules. Jessa looked over. It's contact class. You're the one under restriction. I noticed. So why are you worried about him? Jessa gave the padded bar back to the other cadet and clipped her bottle shut. Habit. One word. Ulan opened her file again and searched for the breakfall qualifier. The Academy Index returned a category error. Endurance medicine. Not combat safety. He sent a second request, this one marked for manual review. The system accepted it. No answer came. Across the hall, Jessa fixed the gray token after its clip twisted around her bag strap. Goran watched her and seemed to settle deeper into the same belief. A beginner's prize. A protected cadet. A soft body with rules around it. 3 wrong ideas feeding one. Weak. The instructor called the next balance rotation. Goran's hand went up before Ulan could assign the pair. I'll take the human. Ulan's membrane tightened beneath his jaw. Same ceiling, he said. Goran smiled, of course. Jessa looked at the lane, then at Goran, then at the cadets near the boundary. She moved one of them back with a small gesture. Give us room, please. Goran stepped toward the ring. Jessa did not square up like a fighter. She only waited for Ulan to tell her where to stand. For the first time that morning, Ulan was no longer sure which cadet the safety limit was protecting. Ulan raised 2 fingers. Legal pressure only, no strike, stop on my call. Goran took the padded shoulder bar and planted his feet outside the ring. Jessa stepped onto the center mark, loose-kneed, arms at her sides. Ready? Ulan asked. Jessa nodded. Goran pushed. The bar compressed against her shoulder. Her shoe soles squeaked once. Goran leaned harder. Jessa stayed where she was. Ulan watched the force line climb on his wrist display. Goran widened his stance and drove again. One of Jessa's heels turned a few degrees. Her hips settled. That was all. Goran stopped smiling. Is that the limit? Jessa asked. No. He pushed harder. The padded bar bent enough to trigger a warning tone. Jessa looked at Ulan. Was I supposed to move? A few cadets laughed. Goran released the bar. Ulan did not. The floor had recorded the full exchange. No sudden spike, no hidden brace, no illegal grip. Goran pointed down. The plate is catching her. It doesn't work that way, Ulan said. Then check it. That part was fair. Ulan paused the rotation and ran the floor through calibration. Clean. He moved a heavier cadet onto the same ring and tested it again. Clean. Nothing was wrong with the floor, which meant the strange part had been Jessa. Goran folded his arms. Maybe the human knows how to fool it. Jessa stepped off the mark. If I knew that, I'd have used it on my entrance tests. Her face stayed flat. Ulan sent the class to the next station. Goran followed him. You're leaving her restricted. Yes. After that. Especially after that. Goran's jaw ridge lifted. You think she's dangerous now. I think I still don't know what she is safe to pair with. She stood still. Yes. That's not combat. No. So it proved nothing. Ulan stopped beside the resistance station. It changed the data. Goran tapped his knuckles together. The human didn't. The resistance station used sliding arms to measure force and control without making cadets strike each other. Ulan assigned Jessa a basic paired hold. Keep the handles inside the green band. No sudden release. Got it. He paired her with a broad cadet who outweighed her. The machine started. Both force lines rose. Then Jessa stopped climbing. Her partners kept going. Ulan frowned. Continue. Jessa did. Her output stayed just below the point where the other cadet began losing position. The machine gave no stop order. She had reduced the load first. Ulan checked the settings. Automatic assist was off. He switched partners. The next cadet was smaller. Jessa's measured output dropped sooner. Again, no command told her to do it. Ulan changed the station to alternating resistance. When the smaller cadet's shoulder angle slipped, Jessa's force line fell. When he recovered, it rose again. No alarm, no instructor call. Jessa was adjusting on her own. Goran saw only the lower line. There, she can't keep up. Ulan turned the display toward him. She is ahead of the station. Goran's smile vanished. What? The machine has not ordered a reduction. So she is reducing before it does. Goran looked at Jessa. Why? Ulan had one answer. Because she was not measuring the drill by what she could produce. She was measuring it by what the other body could take. The smaller cadet stepped away, rubbing his shoulder. Jessa let go. You okay? Yes, I thought the machine backed off. Jessa glanced at Ulan. It did. No. Oh. That was all. Ulan sent another request for human biomechanics, this time through the safety override channel. The system returned a routing notice. File category mismatch. He opened the linked tree. Human endurance medicine, load recovery, fall control, impact certification. Combat contact safety was not listed. Ulan stared at the missing category. Asterline did not lack human data. It had put the data somewhere. He had never been told to look. He marked the request urgent. Across the room, Goran was telling two cadets the station result meant nothing. She keeps stopping, he said. That's the trick. Jessa sat on a bench and retied one shoe. Works pretty well so far. Goran turned. You think this is funny? No. Then stop acting like none of it matters. Jessa finished the knot. I'm here to train. You're here because the academy put a fence around you. Ulan started toward them. Jessa answered first. What do you want me to do? Show what you can actually do. I am. No, you're staying inside limits. Yes. That's the problem. Jessa looked past him. A cadet was carrying a weighted frame through the lane behind his back. She waited until it cleared. The rules aren't the part worrying me. The room went quiet. Goran's face hardened. Then what is? You're trying very hard to make this personal. It is personal. It doesn't have to be. Goran stepped closer. Ulan moved between them. Back to assigned work. Goran stayed put. I want a direct match. No, Ulan said. I'm cleared. She is. There again. Ulen felt the pressure membrane pull tight. You are mistaking a safety ceiling for a verdict. Then lift it. No. Because you think I'll hurt her. Because I do not have enough data. Goran looked around Ulen. Do you? Jessa drank from her bottle. Yes. Ulen turned toward her. Goran's ridges rose. Then say you can take unrestricted contact. No. The answer came at once. Goran almost smiled. There. Jessa capped the bottle. You asked if I'd say it, I said no. Because you can't. Because you're not cleared to hear yes. Someone behind Ulen choked back a laugh. Goran heard it. His hands curled. Walk away, Ulen said. Goran looked at him. Assessor. Walk away. After a long pause, Goran backed off. Jessa returned to the resistance station. Ulen stayed beside her. You said you have enough data. I have my data. That is not academy clearance. I know. What does your data say? That I should keep following your limits. It was not the answer Ulen wanted. It was also the first answer that made him certain she knew something he did not. He lowered his voice. If there is a safety issue with your classification, I need it. I told intake. What did you tell them? That human contact rules don't map cleanly by body shape. Ulen opened her file history. There it was. Transfer note attached. The note had been routed to endurance support and buried under a medical tag. One line stood out. Direct contact limits should be VERIFIED by measured load, not external morphology. Ulen read it twice. The Academy had received the warning. It had simply filed it where contact assessors would not see it. He opened a private safety draft and typed one sentence. Human transfer classification is using the wrong model. This time he did not soften the wording. The next drill tested controlled displacement. Cadets had to move a weighted practice frame through a marked path without tipping it. The broad cadet from earlier went first. He moved fast, lost the final turn, and clipped a boundary post. Goran completed the path by fighting the frame every time it leaned. Then Jessa stepped up. She tested the handle once and looked at the wheels. Does the load shift inside? Yes, Ulen said. Okay. She started. At the first turn, the frame rolled toward her. She did not fight it. She stepped with it. The wheels came back under center. At the next mark, she let the load move, then stopped it with a short pull. The frame crossed the line clean. Goran stared. Ulen checked the time field, then closed it. Speed was not the point. Jessa seemed to know when not to resist. The same idea had now appeared across the morning. Hold position. Reduce force. Move with load, then stop it. Control. Ulen's unease changed shape. He was no longer worried Jessa had been placed too high. He was worried Asterline had no scale for how low she was choosing to stay. The manual biomechanics request finally changed status. Review in progress. Ulen opened the routing chain. It had stopped at biomechanics bay. A note appeared beneath it. Contact assessor must confirm purpose before release. He accepted. Purpose. Ulen typed, mixed species safety evaluation. A second field opened. Expected human contact level. He looked across the hall. Goran was speaking to Jessa again. One real round. No. You keep hiding behind the rules. No. Prove it. I don't need to. Goran stepped into her path. Several cadets went quiet before Ulen moved. The pressure in the hall had changed. Goran was no longer trying to win an argument. He was trying to force a choice. Ulen crossed the lane. Move. Goran did not look at him. She can answer. She did. I want an unrestricted round. And you are not getting one. Goran tapped his knuckles together. Once. Twice. Jessa's eyes dropped to his hands. Then they moved past him. She checked the space behind her. The cadet standing there took a step back without being told. Ulen's wrist display chimed. The human biomechanics request had advanced. A new line appeared. Supervisor acknowledgement required before full contact authorization. Ulen looked from the warning to Goran's hands. Then to Jessa, who had already shifted so nobody stood directly behind her. The system and the human were warning him about the same thing. Goran still thought the warning was about her. Ulen stepped between them before Goran could close the last pace. Back out of the lane. Goran's hands stayed loose at his sides, but the ridges along his forearms lifted. You're stopping a legal request because she might lose. I'm stopping it because you're treating a safety question like a dare. The wrist display chimed again. Supervisor hold recommended. That was new. Ulen touched the warning, then locked the lane controls. No direct pairing, he said, not until I clear this. Goran finally looked at the display. You're protecting her. Jessa spoke from behind Ulen. He's protecting the class. Goran turned toward her. You keep saying that like we're the danger. Jessa's voice stayed even. I keep saying it because you keep standing too close to other people. That pulled several eyes toward the cadet, who had already stepped out of her line. Goran noticed them. His jaw tightened. Ulen pointed toward the west stations. Everyone except Pike and Tal continue with group control. Move. The class broke apart, slower than usual. Nobody wanted to look interested. Everybody was. Ulen opened the supervisor warning and sent a confirmation request. Asterline returned a delay notice. The human file was still under review. Jessa had moved to the wall and was checking the buckle on her training bag. The gray control token had twisted under the strap. She freed it, rubbed dust off the edge with her thumb, and clipped it back in place. Ordinary, small, careful. Ulen watched the motion. Pike. She looked over. What exactly is breakfall? A control course. What did you have to stop? Myself. How? Fast. Ulen pointed to the token, awarded for winning. No, ending inside the safe mark. Ulen looked toward the resistance station. Hold position. Reduce force. Let a load move, then stop it. The same pattern again. Goran heard it too, but reached the opposite conclusion. So your prize is for stopping short. Yes. And you think that makes you a combat cadet? Jessa shrugged one shoulder. It makes me less likely to break the room. Goran stepped forward. Ulen raised a hand. Enough. For a moment, nobody moved. Then a crash sounded from the west station. Ulen turned. The group control frame had tipped sideways. 3 cadets had been trying to steer it through a shifting load course. One had lost his grip. Another had grabbed the wrong rail. The frame was now rolling toward the boundary at an angle. Release, Ulen called. To let go. The third did not. The frame dragged him half a step. Jessa was already moving. She crossed the edge of the lane, caught the rear bar with both hands, and went with the motion instead of stopping against it. Let go, she told the cadet. He obeyed. The frame swung. Jessa stepped with it, turned her hips and pulled once. The wheels straightened. The frame stopped inside the boundary. No slam. No tipped load. No one on the floor. Ulan reached them a second later. You hurt. The cadet shook his head. Jessa released the bar. Next time, don't fight the swing. The cadet stared at her. You caught that by yourself. I caught the part that was still moving. Behind Ulan, Goran said, she used the wheel angle. Jessa looked back. Yes. That's technique. Yes. You couldn't have stopped it straight. No. Goran smiled as if he had won something. Jessa added, that's why I didn't try. His smile faded. Ulan checked the cadet, then Jessa. No injury. She only rubbed one palm where the grip had dragged. The group control instructor hurried over. Reset the course, Ulan said. Nobody repeats that run until I review the grip release. Goran folded his arms. Now she gets praised for fixing another bad drill. Ulan turned on him. This is not about praise. Then what is it about? Control. The word came out sharper than he intended. Goran's eyes narrowed. Ulan forced his voice flat again. She reduces force before the system tells her to. She checks who is behind a movement. She chooses the safer angle instead of the stronger one. Then let me test her. No. The answer landed hard. Goran stepped closer. You already decided. I decided the match is not happening. Because you think she'll hurt me. Ulan almost answered. Jessa did it first. Yes. Silence hit the center lane. Goran turned slowly. Jessa looked more tired than threatening. He stared at her. You finally admit it. I'm not admitting anything. You just said I'd get hurt. I said that's what he's worried about. And you? Jessa looked at his hands. I'm worried you won't stop when he tells you to. Goran's ridges rose fully. Ulan moved between them again. That ends it. Goran pointed at Jessa. One round, no ceiling. No, Ulan said. Jessa picked up her bottle. Goran's voice hardened. Say it yourself. She looked at him. No. Why? Jessa twisted the bottle cap closed. Because I don't want to hurt you. Nobody laughed. That seemed to make it worse. Goran's face changed. Not fear. Humiliation. Ulan understood the danger. Every limit on Jessa had looked like proof that the academy ranked her below Goran. Now she had rejected the contest itself. Ulan stepped closer. Tall session over. Goran looked at him. You are done for today. You can't. I can and I am. The floor under the center lane turned red. Training locks engaged. Ulan pointed toward the exit rail. Leave the contact floor. Goran stood still, then backed away. Jessa exhaled through her nose. Not relief. More like annoyance at a task running long. Ulan opened his incident draft and added another line. Cadet Tall removed from active pairing after repeated challenge to safety order. He saved it. That was the mundane part. A report line. A locked lane. A class trying very hard to pretend it had gone back to normal. Ulan turned to the group control instructor. Restart with basic load only. Cadets began moving again. Jessa returned to the wall. She hooked her bottle to the side of her bag and pulled the strap over one shoulder. The gray token clicked against the buckle. Goran reached the exit rail. Stopped. Ulan saw his reflection in the wall panel before he saw the turn. Tall. Goran spun. He crossed the red lane in 3 fast steps. No call, no legal start. His fist came up. Ulan moved. Too far. Jessa turned at the sound. A smaller cadet was passing behind her with a padded bar. She saw him first. That was the part Ulen would remember. Not Goran's fist. Not the shout. Her eyes finding the person behind her. Jessa could have stepped away. If she had, Goran's line would have carried straight through. So she stayed. One foot shifted. Her shoulder turned. Her forearm rose. Nothing more. The punch landed against it with a flat crack. Goran recoiled at once. His hand dropped against his chest. Jessa remained on her feet. The padded bar behind her hit the floor as the other cadet jumped back. Ulen reached Goran first. "Don't move the hand." "I'm fine." "You are not." Goran tried to open his fingers and stopped. His face went pale. Ulen hit the medical call. Clinical response to Hall C striking limb injury. Patient conscious. Jessa stepped backward. Both hands open. She looked at Goran. Then at the cadet behind her. "You okay?" "Yes." "Did he touch you?" "No." Only then did she look at Ulen. "Please tell them I didn't hit him." The clinical team entered at a run. Ulen gave them the lane and shut the class down. "I hit her," Goran said while they stabilized his hand. "We know," a medic answered. Ulen's jaw membrane had gone completely still. That frightened him more than the tightness had. He looked at Jessa's forearm. A faint red mark was forming where the strike had landed. She rolled the wrist once. "Pain." "Sore." "That's all." "So far." The medical scanner passed over her arm. The medic checked the display. Then checked it again. No structural damage. Goran heard that. His eyes fixed on Jessa. The medic beside him finished a scan of the injured hand. "We need surgical repair." Goran stopped talking. No one on the floor moved. Jessa's gaze dropped. Not to her arm. To his hand. Will he get full use back? The medic looked at the scan. "That's the goal." Jessa nodded. Then she stepped farther away so the team had room. Ulen finally understood what had happened. Goran had thrown the force. Jessa had chosen the angle. And even under surprise, she had made the choice around the person standing behind her. The control token on her bag was no longer an odd detail. It was a warning label nobody at Asterline had known how to read. Ulen froze the incident record. Medical transfer confirmed. Unauthorized contact confirmed. Bystander clear. Human cadet remained non-retaliatory. He reached the final field. Cause of injury. His finger stopped. The easiest answer was impact. The correct answer was misclassification. Before he could submit it, his wrist display flashed. Human biomechanics file released. Ulen opened it. The first page carried a rating he had never seen in a contact safety file. Class 11 Structural Resilience. Below it sat Jessa's Academy contact label. Restricted low contact. Ulen stared at the two lines. Same cadet. Same institution. Two systems describing almost opposite bodies. A second notice appeared. Review Chamber 9 requests immediate incident preservation. Do not amend classification pending board review. Ulen looked across the hall. Jessa was helping the shaken cadet pick up the dropped padded bar. Goran was already being moved toward the clinical transfer lock. And somewhere inside Asterline, a system had known exactly how hard a human body could be. It had simply never told the people deciding who was safe to hit. Ulen left the cause field blank and sealed the incident file. Review Chamber 9 opened the case before Goran reached surgery. The board chair pulled the human record onto the wall display. Beside it sat the contact profile Ulen had used that morning. Structural resilience, class 11. Restricted low contact. No one spoke for several seconds. Then the chair asked, which one is current? Both, Ulan said. That answer moved the room. A senior safety officer opened the routing history. Human load studies had arrived with Jessa's transfer package. They covered impact recovery, controlled falls, repeated stress, and high-load movement. The data had not been hidden. It had been tagged under endurance medicine. Asterline's contact system did not search that branch when it built combat pairings. Where measured contact data was missing, the software filled the gap with species averages and visible anatomy. The yellow bar beside Jessa's name had not come from a test. It had come from an assumption. The chair turned toward Ulan. Why was that allowed? Because the model usually works. Usually is not a safety rule. No. The officer opened the routing history attached to Jessa's transfer note. Its measured load warning had been in the academy system from the start. The intake tool had sent it to endurance support instead of the people making contact decisions. Ulan looked at the board table. No sabotage, no missing archive, no secret order. A filing choice had been enough. The chair issued an immediate hold on appearance-led contact ratings for incomplete species files. Existing classes could continue, but supervisors had to use measured tolerance before approving full contact. Then the clinical update arrived. Goran's procedure had gone as planned. The surgeons expected him to regain normal use of the hand after recovery. Jessa read the same update from the far end of the table. Good, she said. The chair looked at her. Cadet Pike, the academy may need you to demonstrate the human rating. No. The answer came without heat. The chair blinked. You refuse. While he's in treatment, yes. This is bigger than Tal now. He's still the one who got hurt. Ulan did not interrupt. The board could change a policy without turning Goran's injury into a show. The chair seemed to reach the same point. No demonstration until medical clearance, she said. Jessa nodded, thank you. That became the first correction entered into the case. Not a stronger human category. A stronger rule about consent. The academy removed Jessa from contact drills while the review stayed open. She still attended movement work and class briefings. No one challenged her. That silence bothered Ulan more than the earlier jokes. Some cadets had replaced one bad idea with another. Fragile had become dangerous. Neither described the person who kept moving others out of harm's way before she moved herself. Ulan did not write that into the report. He wrote what he could prove. Human load data had been misrouted. Appearance had been used as a stand-in for measurement. The restricted label had no tested contact basis. Goran had ignored a direct stop order. Jessa had not retaliated. When Goran returned to the academy, his right hand was free of the stiff medical brace. A thin support wrap remained around the palm. He found Ulan outside the low-impact annex. Is she here? Yes. I need to talk to her. You need to ask. Goran looked down at his hand. The old knuckle tap did not come. Jessa was inside, moving light practice frames back into their storage marks. Goran stopped several steps away. She set the last frame down before facing him. How's the hand? Working. Good. His eyes dropped to the floor line. I thought you were refusing because you couldn't. Jessa waited. Goran looked up. I was wrong. Yes. His jaw ridge tightened, then eased. I kept trying to make you prove it. Yes. And you kept trying not to. Jessa glanced at his wrapped palm. That part didn't go great. Goran almost laughed. He did not. I want to ask for a proper round. Ulen stepped closer. Goran lifted his uninjured hand before Ulen could speak. After clearance with limits, with you running it. That was not the request Goran had made before. Jessa looked at Ulen. Is there a reason to do it? Yes, Ulen said. The board still knows what you can withstand. It does not know how much you were choosing not to use. Jessa considered that. Goran added, I need to know too. She looked at his hand again. Medical clearance first. He nodded. Later, after the clinic cleared controlled training, Ulen set the low-impact annex for a supervised demonstration. No audience had been invited. The board came anyway. So did several instructors. Jessa walked to the center mat, bent down, and moved a loose strap away from the edge with her shoe. Then she rolled one sleeve back to the same point as the other. Ready, she said. Goran entered opposite her. Ulen stood at the control rail. Low impact, stop on command. This is not a rematch. I know, Goran said. Jessa nodded. Begin. Goran moved first. Jessa gave ground, turned with him, and stopped the exchange before either body hit the floor. The motion gates flashed a clean control mark. They reset. Goran tried again. Jessa shifted out of the line, caught the movement, and released before the joint warning could sound. Another control mark. Reset. The third exchange ended with Goran off balance and Jessa already stepping away. No strike landed. No hard fall came. No medical tone sounded. The board chair leaned toward the display. She had finished positions. Ulen kept his eyes on the mat. Yes. She released them. Yes. Before the system called stop. Yes. Goran heard every word. He came in again faster. Jessa met the motion, changed its path, and stopped with enough room left between them for Goran to recover his feet. Ulen saw the same pattern the machines had shown all week. She stopped before the lock. She stopped before the fall. She stopped before the strike. The room went still. Goran stared at the space Jessa had left. Again, he said. Jessa looked at Ulen. He gave permission. This time Goran did not rush. He tested her position, changed direction, and tried to force a mistake. Jessa kept giving him choices that ended with both of them standing. At last Goran stepped back on his own. That day, he said, breathing hard, you could have done more. Jessa lowered her hands. Yes. How much more? She glanced toward Ulen. That's why we're measuring it. Goran looked at the board display. Every control mark had arrived before the Academy's automatic stop. His eyes went to his repaired hand. Then back to her. I thought your restraint was the limit. Jessa said nothing. It was. No. Goran faced the instructors. I was the one who needed the ceiling. No one answered. There was nothing useful to add. Ulen's wrist display chimed. Mixed species contact policy revision, active. The board had not waited for applause. The new rule removed visible armor from the top level of contact classification. External anatomy could still guide an initial screen, but it could no longer set a final pairing limit where measured load data existed. Human records were linked directly into contact safety. Incomplete transfer files triggered a hold instead of an appearance-based guess. Jessa received no special combat rank. Her old restriction simply disappeared. Ulen opened the final incident review. The cause field was still blank. He entered. Unauthorized strike against misclassified contact target. Then he added the Academy's correction. Direct measurement required. The chair approved both. Goran's discipline record carried the attack, the ignored stop order, and his later concession. Jessa's record carried no combat violation. Her control data went into the training system instead. The mistake was not that Asterline had failed to imagine a tougher human. It had treated restraint as missing strength. The gray ceramic token remained in evidence storage until the review closed. Ulen collected it himself. It sat inside a clear sleeve with a new printed label. Human Contact Control Reference. He brought it to Contact Hall C. Jessa was standing beside the same wall hook she had used on her first morning. Ulen held out the sleeve. Evidence release. She took it and read the new label. Her eyebrows rose. They renamed my token. They renamed what it means here. Jessa slid the ceramic piece out. What happens to the old restriction? Gone. What happens to Goran? He returns under measured contact rules when the clinic signs off. She nodded. And me. Same rule. Good. No special lane. No protected category. No warning bar built from the shape of her body. Jessa clipped the gray token beside her bag buckle. Across the hall, Goran entered with a padded bar under one arm. He stopped at the new pairing board. His name appeared under measured contact clearance. Jessa Pike loaded beneath it. No yellow restriction mark followed her name. Goran flexed his repaired hand once and took his place at the far line. Jessa set her water bottle under the wall hook. The contact lock turned green. Ulen slid the old incident card beneath the new rules on his display. Its last line remained visible. Surgeons rushed in to fix his hand.